Thank you so much, Carrie, and welcome everybody. I know some of you may have attended our previous webinars where we went over MoxiEngage and Present. And so this one, we're really going to focus on you as managers and what you can do within the system to help increase productivity within your agents, as well as the adoption piece of it. So the team at Schmidt Family and Companies has worked really, really hard to make sure that this platform is something that is going to be exciting, is really going to help the business, but it really starts from the top down. So you as managers are going to be those advocates for the agents in this program to really get them in there, get them excited about what it is that they can do. So today we are going to talk through a little bit about MoxiEngage at a high level, what it is, what it can do, and then really dive deep into that manager dashboard. So my name is Katie Shabali, Senior Account Manager here at MoxiWorks, and with us we have Dawn McClellan, who is our training manager. So go ahead and kick it off, Dawn.
Thank you so much, Katie. Yes, my name is Dawn McClellan, and Katie and I will be your hostesses for today. Wanted to just give you a quick little housekeeping of what's going on in this webinar. If you joined us last time, this will be a repeat. Everybody is muted right now. And that's just so that we don't have a lot of background noise happening, because this is a webinar style. Lots of us are online, and we are recording this webinar, so you can go back and listen to it again if you so choose. But we do want to know if you have any questions. So there is a chat box within the control panel for the webinar. So if you have a question, when you're thinking of it, don't hesitate to type that in, and we will be doing a Q&A. Maybe we'll be breaking it into into several sections, depending on how many questions we're getting, but we will definitely be doing a Q&A at the end of our presentation today. So just a reminder of who we are, who is MoxiWorks. We are a creator of tools that really work with you, want to make your lives more efficient. We want to work with both agents and brokerages directly to help you sell homes together. And we happen to use technology to do that. However, technology is just the means of our delivery system. We really want to work with the individuals and build those relationships with people to help you be better in your business and make your lives easier. We are focusing today on Engage, but specifically systems and how do some of those systems work. We'll do a quick review of just Engage, especially if you were on the previous webinar. We don't want to go over too many of the exact same things, so it's just quick refresh of what's going on. We'll talk a little bit about the methodology and the importance behind Engage, and then we'll be talking about the value of systems. We'll look at ways to drive adoption and why it's important, and then just some tasks that you can do to lead your agents to success. And then what are ways that you directly can work with your agents? All right, so why did we build Engage? This is the refresh part. We wanted to help agents stay top of mind with those people that already know, like, and trust them, the people that they have in their sphere of influence is what we like to call it, but their database, all the people that they already have connection points with. So agents will find their business by prospecting for new people or answering leads, and then also working with their sphere. And what we were finding, and through NAR, we actually have some statistics that explain this, agents were spending the majority of their time and more of their time on prospecting and leads, and not as much time on their sphere of influence. But what NAR found was that the return on that investment of time was only about 1% for prospecting and leads. So while that's valuable, they were also finding 70% return rate on working with people that you already know, like, and trust. So by flipping that script a bit and saying, let's focus more on our sphere and not ignore completely prospecting and leads, because as I said, that's important to replenish your sphere and build new relationships over time. Those relationships are really where you're going to get the meat of your business. So MoxiEngage is built off of that methodology of focusing on your sphere. We also want agents to set a goal. And by setting that goal, we can help you achieve that goal. So the first thing you do when you sign in to Engage is set a goal for the year. What is the commission that you want to make for that entire year? And then we've automated where appropriate. So like I mentioned, we make technology as the means of delivering our goal of working with agents and brokerages to make your lives easier. but we don't want to take the person and the relationship out of that transaction. We want to make sure that people are connecting with people. So we've automated where appropriate things that are super repetitive that you don't need to be having to go in and click the button to do every single time, but we also want the agent involved in some of the clicks to get certain tasks done. And then as you work with Engage, you'll be presented with some helpful coaching tips and tools to keep you on track. And then, of course, working with your sphere of influence with that nice, healthy 70% return on your investment of time is a downturn resistant methodology. So let's talk a little bit about the value of systems. And Katie, I will encourage you to jump in anytime here. I love talking with you about this, and you have a really good passion for this. So I want to make sure that people can hear that as well. Our CEO likes to say sweat plus systems and training equal productivity. We like to look at it as systems plus training plus coaching equals productivity. So that coaching or sweat, interchangeable. And it applies to any system. So whether it be MoxiWorks or some other system, this applies and is going to be beneficial to your agents. You can include, if you include that training and the coaching with any system, you're going to see your agents outperform others who are only just attacking the system and they don't really have any other guidance to help them along.
That's absolutely right, Dawn. And I really want to focus on this slide for just a little bit longer because that is huge. And in fact, your leadership team is going to really help on the training side of things, and the system, which is going to be Engage, is going to be that core part of everything. And the sweat part is really the piece that the agents and yourself have to put into everything as well. So unfortunately, even though you have a system, it doesn't mean everything's going to happen automatically, where the system's going to create those relationships or anything like that. No, you guys will still have to do a lot of that type of thing. Your agents will have to work the system, and you guys will get to help them and really guide them to become productive agents. So that's the whole idea around it. It's that accountability piece, and you guys are going to have a lot of insight into what the agents are doing day in and day out that will really help you guys coach them to be better agents. So some things that you may not actually have available to you today with any previous system you may have, or just maybe looking at the MLS or any of that, MoxiEngage, the manager dashboard, is really going to help you help your agents. And then that's where the recruiting and the retaining happens as well. So I like to say that as big as this industry is, it's actually quite small, right? Everybody talks a lot and talks about what they love, what they don't love about their brokerage. And so if you guys start investing in your people, in your agents, and allowing them to see what the system can do for their business, what the coaching you are going to provide for them, you're going to start seeing numbers increase big time. So, definitely soak up today's training and, see what we have available for you.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing all of that insight, Katie. And like I said, I love talking to Katie about this because she is full of passion about this topic. So she's really the best account manager to be walking you through this with us today. So let's take a little bit of another look at systems and how they build a successful business. So you need all the different tools, like Katie was mentioning, MLS, and of course a CRM and a presentation tool and all of that. And MoxiWorks will help provide that for you, and they help build that business. But without that consistency, without that training, without that coaching, it is just another thing that the agent has to click on. So by having you guys there to help coach and encourage and support and your agents, they're going to help really really build on their business. So then the right tools, the right systems will help achieve your goals even better. So what we have actually seen is in numbers make sense here. Our very first customer, out of the gate, and we've seen this number improve over the time, but our very first customer out of the gate, by changing this methodology, by having coaching by their managers, by having that investment from the top down, and then really working the MoxiWorks system, they saw a 38% increase in their transactions on average across the entire brokerage. So it works. We have the numbers to prove that this works, and it all starts with everyone here listening to me right now in helping their agents really work the system.
And that brokerage wasn't just a brokerage of, 100, 200. These are thousands that we're looking at. And so that number is incredibly significant. And once again, when you're looking at systems, it doesn't matter what system you have. You guys get MoxiWorks, which is great, but the biggest thing is just to remember that what a system can provide, and it's really the consistency of results, being able to be accountable and achieve your goals through that. So that's where you guys really come heavy into play there.
Okay, next we are going to be talking about driving that adoption. So, what is important about using these systems and what can you do to help drive that adoption and get more agents to work with it? So, why is it important? Well, what we have seen is that a typical user for Engage ends up with 40% more sides than agents who are not using Engage, and that's within the same brokerage. So, we looked at numbers that were across single brokerages to see what was happening before, a couple years before from their MLS to after they launched with Engage and with MoxiWorks as a whole, and then what were those agents who were really seriously adopting the system and working with their managers for coaching, what were they able to achieve? And a 40% increase in sides is a fantastic number of increase. We were seeing the same kind of numbers rolling through of people that were just actually using Present, an increase in 43% more transactions. So you combine them together and the power is amazing to be able to build on your business. What can managers do? So managers are the key to any office. I don't know how many agents I've heard say, well, I might get an email from my brokerage, but if the email actually comes from my manager, I will listen to it more often. So managers play a key role in the success of their agents. Agents know their manager directly, and it actually ties into that same methodology that Engage uses, where you're going to get more traction from people that know, like, and trust you than you are from people that you don't really know or you're prospecting for. So agents put that same trust in their manager. They see them every day. The manager is also the voice of the brokerage. So by being able to then promote whatever the brokerage is providing as systems in particular, but any of the things that are going on in the brokerage as a whole, if the manager is behind that, that will also help drive agents to adopt and agents to utilize the systems and what's available from the brokerage. And then you're also there to help support your agent by encouraging the adoption of tools. It will then obviously lead to increased sales. You're then showing an investment in the agent themselves. And like Katie was mentioning, it's a small world. As many agents as we have out there in the whole of this country and the whole of the world, it's a really small world. And you'll find out agents talking about how much their brokerage is supporting them, how much their manager is supporting them, and they want to stay with that kind of investment in them personally. What are some of the things that agents should perceive? Well, we want to make sure that we're creating systems and providing tools that are going to help save time and make more money, help them make more money. So, where's the value in this system? Is it easy to jump into? So, you want to make sure that the training and help materials are at the ready and quick getting started documents. Those are things that we help provide, but also something that from the manager's perspective and talking points that the manager can provide, that it is easy to jump into and easy to get started. And then are the tasks that you're wanting to accomplish, are they easy to follow? Is it easy, the high value that it's going to bring to me as an agent, but then is it going to be easy or is it going to take a lot of my time? So you want to increase, or you want to really push forward whether or not this is an easy to use, easy to get into product or system. And then how will others perceive the agent that is using this system? You want to show that it's going to be, that they're going to be progressive, that they're going to be professional, that they are going to be top of their game. So agents will also listen to another top agent or a loud voice in their own office. So by having that person or that one agent be a champion of tools, that's also another great way to help drive adoption and perceive that this is a really great system to jump into and actually utilize. And then what are some of the simple tasks that you can do? as a manager, what are some of the things that you can encourage that will then lead to success? Well, specifically for MoxiEngage, you want to make sure that your agent's contacts are where they need to be. If you're coming from a different CRM, or if a new agent has come on board and they're bringing their contacts with them, they're going to be trying to collect all of those contacts into one single source. MoxiEngage makes it super easy because the only source we need is your email to be able to load those up. And generally, if an agent is coming from another location, anybody that's super important to them is already going to be in their email. So we will connect with that, and everybody will be right there when they log into Engage. So super easy to connect to the contacts you already have. Then right within the system, you have the access to neighborhood news. It's a really quick subscription monthly email that goes out, market snapshot that shows what's going on in a specific zip code. And it's a really great tool to start getting referrals right away. You get your name out there, stay top of mind with everybody in your sphere. And it's a really, I would say, a non-invasive way of continuing to keep your name top of mind. We have someone here at the office that started using this in their business, have been a real estate agent hanging their shingle locally, and had never done this kind of marketing before. And she signed everybody up in her database for neighborhood news. And it's been about 5 years, and she has never gone a month without getting at least one referral, if not multiple referrals each month. So it's a really significant tool with very little investment of time. You go in, bulk subscribe people, send it out, and it's just a set and forget kind of subscription. We also have the listing announcements that we would encourage you to have people subscribe. This is where we talk about that automate where appropriate. So we want you to encourage your agents to sign people up for listing announcements, but then we don't automatically send out a listing announcement when we know you have a new listing. That's something that we want the agent to trigger, because we know the agent isn't necessarily going to want to highlight every single listing that they get or that they sell, but they want to highlight specific ones. So we leave that up to the agent to determine which one they want to send out. And then, of course, every new system has preferences that you'll need to set up to make it work and function for you. So we want to encourage you to have people go into MoxiEngage, go to the preferences, and set up what's going to help reflect their own personal workflow through their transactions, through their sales flow. How do they want to work? Part of that is also setting up tasks that they want to do for each transaction, and all of that is available through the preferences and settings menu. And then as a manager, you have an opportunity to see what's going on at a high level, where you can identify places that you can coach. Where can you help prop up an agent? Where is an agent maybe needing a little bit higher touch, or a direct communication with you? What agents are doing really well, and then you can find out what they're doing with their systems. So there is that manager dashboard that we are going to be taking a look at today that will help you gain that insight into what's going on in your office at any given time. All right, here's a refresher. If anybody was on the previous webinar and hasn't seen and remembers what Engage looks like, maybe you haven't been into Engage, this is the dashboard that your agents utilize. You also have access to this agent dashboard, but this is going to be what your agents see every single day. They're going to have their own calendar over there on the left. They're going to see how close they are to achieving their goal down on the bottom left. And then they have a review of what's going on in their sales flow right this moment. How many people do they have in each section of their transaction flow, between marketing all the way through to pending and closing? And then down in the bottom right hand side, they will see exactly how many people they have in their system right now to be able to work with. You as the manager, however, have an additional dashboard that we're going to be taking a deeper dive on today, and this is what that looks like. So across the top of your screen, you're going to see an aggregate of the goals set for your office. This is going to be coming from all of the goals that are set by each one of your agents within your office, and then it's rolled up into an aggregate, and then you see, where are we at this time of year? Are we going to reach that goal? You'll also see on the right-hand side everybody's sales flow. So how many individuals are within each zone of the transaction. You won't ever get to see names associated with these numbers. So there are 63 prospects on this dashboard right here in this image that we have, but you won't be able to click on that and see that it's John Smith is in there. You'll only see that there are 63 transactions going on.
This is
And
going to be really important to your agents. As you all know, agents really feel, that their database is really important to them. And so they want to know that it's protected. And so, one thing, if you want your agents to know that you have insight into what's happening this coaching side, you can click through and show them, hey, I don't have access to your people, to your contacts, any of that. I can just see at a high level what's going on, and we can work together to make sure that you're getting the most out of your database.
absolutely, 100%. You want to be able to show that exactly what Katie was saying, where contacts are sacrosanct to agents. That is their business, and they don't want to feel like anybody else has access to those names. So you would be able to show to your agent, if you so chose, that you only have the numbers, and those numbers are there for you to be able to help coach them on what to do next. And then, of course, down below, you'll be able to see the numbers broken down per agent. You'll be able to see really quickly which agents have not even signed in to set their goal. You'll be able to see if you're missing a name on your dashboard, whether or not someone has actually even connected Engage to their email, so synced their email contact database to Engage. All of that is going to be identified right here on this dashboard. And then additionally, you'll be able to go into each individual agent screen and see what's going on for them personally. You'll be also able to save stats. So let's say you have a regular cadence that you meet with your agents. Maybe you meet once a month, maybe it's biweekly, maybe it's once a quarter. You'll be able to save stats from each meeting and then go back and review and see them side by side of what's going on with each individual person. There's also an overview section over there on the left that identifies whether or not this person is going to reach their goal based on how they work. Engage is a smart system that learns how agents work over time. So one example is you might have two agents that have 100 contacts each. They each have the exact same goal that they've set. Maybe they want to achieve 175,000 in commission income this year, gross commission income this year. They're all starting out with the exact same information, but agent A will be working their tush off and they will be creating transactions and closing left and right. Maybe they've closed 6 transactions this month and they've got another 6 in the works, and it's just they're blowing the sky off of their business. Agent B has maybe done half as much. Maybe they are closing 3 transactions this month. Still a really great number for that agent, but they're going to then start showing you different information on this side in this overview, and it might end up meaning that agent A is going to achieve their goal quicker. So maybe their coaching is that they need to adjust their goal higher and push themselves differently. Agent B might not be able to make their goal at all, and they might need to add more people to their database and go prospecting for new people in order to achieve the goal they've set for themselves based on how they work. So the more information that they can plug into Engage, the more information that will be surfaced to you to help you in coaching them. And then finally, you'll be able to look at the goals for the entire office. You can come in here and see exactly which transactions have been closed and what type of transactions those are. And then over on the detail side, you'll be able to identify which agent has closed those transactions. You'll also be able to see what's in the pipeline. What are the active and pending transactions going on? What is a potential prospect? And then also your forecast. This forecast is really important because, again, it's based on how your agents are working, what information they're plugging into Engage in their own accounts that will then help identify, are you going to meet the goal that has been set for the office as that aggregate from each individual agent based on how they're working. Katie, you want to jump in?
Okay,
There's
that
anything else
I
before
was
we
just
do?
gonna
Okay.
no, I was just gonna say the GCI forecast. I just want to reiterate how amazing that is. So, a lot of times agents and maybe even yourself as a manager, you're getting to the end of the quarter, the end of the year, and you're just scrambling for, meeting those last minute goals and just trying to get there, versus the GCI forecast gives you that insight into what is actually happening, assuming everybody's using the system the way it should. So knowing that you have a better idea of what's to come based upon that type of usage is huge. And I really, really highly recommend that you guys talk to your agents and recommend the actions within the system itself to help you have better insight into what's going to happen, so that you guys can be on the main stage if you guys do that at the end of the year or every quarter, where you guys are those top managers with those top producing agents. So definitely take advantage of the different tools within the manager dashboard that you have available to you.
So
All
I'm
right.
going to dive into a live demo of that and show you what it looks like in action. The first screen I'm going to show you actually is within your brokerage branding and what that looks like. This particular office, that the login information that we have, this user, I should say, in this particular office, not one person yet has signed in and synced their email to Engage. So I want to show you what that looks like right up front, so we don't have any information into the GCI goal as an aggregate for that office and nobody through the sales flow yet. But this is what your dashboard would look like. You can jump between the agent mode and the manager mode, so you would be able to see the agent dashboard as well for yourself. And you can look at your own calendar of what's going on, what's tied up with your email calendar. So you still have access to all of that information. And you can look at what are the goals for your office as a whole. So again, you need to have the agents sync up their Engage database and set a goal, and then all of the details will start coming in for your closed transactions, what's going on in this year. So to be able to show you some of the exact information and do a demo here for you, I'm going to jump over and show you my version of the manager dashboard. So this is my account, and I just want to show you what that looks like. Up at the top, I have an aggregated GCI goal I can look at. That goal is $6 million for this particular year. That is based on all of the individual goals set by those in my office. So this number may increase as more people in my office sync their Engage accounts, and it might decrease depending on if they've gone in and adjusted their goal amounts. Maybe they were a little bit too aggressive at the beginning, they're now seeing what's happening for them, and they can go in and adjust those at any time. So this can be a living number. However, it gives you a great idea of what's going on as a whole for your agents and in their minds. And right now you can see we're about 3% to that goal at this early stage in the year. I can then show you that there are about 145 people that are in the marketing zone, so 145 people that are being marketed to within my office, and 61 people that are prospects. And you'll notice that there are also little information icons that are up here. 61 people, but 63 transactions. And what does that mean? Well, that means that there are a couple people that are probably going through both a buyer and a seller transaction at the same time with your agents. So all of that is listed right here. If you hover over, we have 24 people that are in actives, but there are 33 transactions going on. So that means even more people are going through multiple transactions with their agents. And then the same here with pending, 14 people, 16 transactions. So that gives you an idea of what is going on just at a very high level for your office. Then if I scroll down, you'll notice that over on the far right, you've got these big red dots listed here. And that is because the person is not going to meet their goal based on the information they've plugged in to Engage. You'll see some yellow dots occasionally, and that yellow will indicate that the person is in trouble of not meeting their goal, but so far they're okay. And then the green means that they're right on their way to achieving their goal based on the information that they're plugging into Engage. And this information is only as valuable, I really want to harp on this, is only as valuable as the information your agents are adding in themselves. So if they are not adding in or coming in and closing transactions or working through the sales flow within Engage, you're not going to get a huge amount of insight into how they work as an agent or whether or not they're going to meet the goal they've set for themselves. And this is not only setting up neighborhood news and listing announcements, but this also working through the sales flow, moving someone from marketing to a prospect, working through the tasks with that person, moving them into actives. Are we listing their property? Are we sending the just listed emails? All of that information that's within Engage, the more that's utilized, the better information will be surfaced to you here on this dashboard. Under GCI want to point out what these numbers all mean. So here for Cody in particular, we can look and see he has not set his GCI for 2020. He has previously synced his email and his database for 2019 or even maybe 2017, way back when. But for 2020, he has not come in yet and set a goal for the year. He also has nobody going through his sales flow, and he's basically ignoring his Engage dashboard completely. But then we have Bryn above him who has people in her sales flow, and she has set her GCI, but she has not closed anything yet. So she's got one in pending, but she has zero toward her goal and 0% of her goal completed. And this is going to tell us that she just hasn't closed anything yet within Engage. And then we'll drop down to my name here. And you can see that I'm 44% to my goal already, and I have 78,000 of my total goal already completed. But I don't have anybody in my flow at the moment. So I'm kind of ignoring my entire Engage platform, even though I've closed and set my goal and closed some business. So let's go in and click on my name so I can take a deeper, closer look into what's going on. Well, here we're going to give you an overview of some information, and this is where you can have that personalized coaching with your individual agents and sit down with them and say, all right, you haven't added anything into Engage yet, and so Engage is going to give me this number that tells me, based on what we know of how agents work overall, there's an algorithm built in, just as a little aside here, that based on the total number of contacts you have in your business and what your goal is, you're going to need 79 more people to get there. So um, excuse me, I only need 79 people to get to my goal. I have 348. So I'm well within the number of people I need to make my goal based on how we think agents work. Of course, as I start adding more information in, this number may adjust. Then I have 0 prospects coming in. I'm going to need at least 19 prospects in order to achieve my goal this year. And Engage doesn't know whether or not I have any prospects because I haven't told it that I have. So this is one of those places where you can really encourage your agents to adopt Engage to give you a more holistic view of what's going on in your office and where you can coach. Where are the items that you need to help bolster your agent to be able to achieve the goals they set for themselves? You can then add in some additional notes. So let's say we had a one-to-one meeting. It gives us a date stamp, and then we can click in here and say, talked about adding prospects. That's then added in, and I can see all my notes listed for every additional time I meet with this person. This is also where you can show, it's a little hard to see on the webinar, but if I click in this My People screen, you'll just see that I'm highlighting the number. There is no way for me to click in and see those people associated with this total number. And I can't click on any of the prospects or sales flow sections at all. It just shows me numbers. But I can take a look at these stats, and I can even save these stats to look at in the future. So then if I meet with this person next month and we do another check-in, I can refer back to my notes, and I can also open up the history. Next time I come in here, you'll see a historical list shown here. I can click on any history screenshot that I've taken, stats that I've saved, and I can then see the side-by-side comparison as to what's going on with the closed transactions, where I'm at with my business, or where I'm at with the sales flow as a whole. So it gives us some encouragement over time to see the improvement of what's gone on. Katie, is there anything specific that you would like to have me display or demo or really talk to about this screen or any of the other screens available?
No, I think you really hit it right on the head as far as what's available here. What I love the most is that notes side as well as a stats history. So it really gives you an idea of what's happening. So if you guys came up with a plan of attack for, let's say, the next month, maybe it's let's get 10 people into that prospect transaction zone. And then we save today's stats and we check it in a month and they go, oh yeah, I definitely did it. But then you go in there, you're like, there's actually only 5. It gives you that insight. And, again, the accountability piece that's really, really huge. And the more that you invest in your agents through the coaching tool like this, the harder they're going to work. I know myself as just an account manager at my job, the more my boss invests in me, or one-on-ones, all of that stuff, the harder I want to work for him. And so it's the same thing here. I definitely, again, just recommend you guys playing around in it as often as possible as we're waiting to launch this to agents, just so that you get familiar with it. You may not have a lot of this information quite yet, just because most of the agents haven't synced over to Engage, since we're not doing that for 2 more weeks. But just get in there, play around with it, play around with Engage and all of that. We did have one question that I think would be really good to cover right now, Dawn, and it's, will the closed transactions for agents not using Moxie still show for that agent within Moxie? So in other words, where would that closed transaction feed to Moxie?
That's a great question. So we will have all of that information on the Moxie side, but we won't surface it within your manager dashboard unless your agent has actually synced with Engage. So you might have some transactions that are happening here that are not being reflected in your aggregated goal because your agent has not synced with Engage. But if I click on the goal section here, I can then say that I have 2 completed buyer and 2 completed seller transactions, and I'll click on all, and I can see which agents those are connected to. And that is all I will see. But the minute that your person, let's say Katie has actually closed 2 or 3 transactions this year, but she hasn't synced her Engage yet, the minute she comes in and puts in her goal and signs into Engage, and it connects up her system with her email, I will then see that populated here on my goals dashboard and see exactly the transactions that she has completed, whether or not, and Katie, correct me if I'm wrong, because this is how it happens on the Engage or on the agent dashboard as well, whether or not I've actually closed that transaction in Engage. So I will see all of the closed transactions populate here on the detail screen.
That's correct. Yeah. So I would say, I mean, of course, we want agents to really use it, adopt it, help their business. But at a minimum, let's get them to sync their account and set that goal. In fact, we've seen that even just setting the goal increases their productivity in a year. Just setting the goal, let alone doing everything else that's available. But then that gives you that high level insight into what's happening. So I would highly recommend to make sure that that's number 1 on your list, so that you can be able to see all those transaction details in your account.
And then if we look at under active and pending, which this is taking just a second to load up because there's so much detail, you'll be able to see what's going on within your office in the pipeline. This information strictly comes from Engage. So let's say you have some active listings up on the MLS. This active and pending section is not based on the MLS status of active and pending. It is strictly based on the Engage sales flow zones active and pending. So what have your office agents actually put into their sales flow within Engage? What's in the pipeline for them? And then how long have they been working with those customers, those people in each of those zones for how long. So you'll be able to see average time in process right now is 209 days based on all of the information that is plugged into Engage specifically. There are 49 transactions that could potentially close this year. And which transactions are those and which agents do those belong to? So you can see not a lot of information is displayed here in details because that's also only pulled directly from Engage and it's based on what the agent has clacked into Engage. So the more information that they can provide, the better information that this will pump out to you. Pretty much with any system that's the same, no matter what you put in, you'll only get out what you put in. So the more information you can encourage your agents to add in for their specific transactions and what they have in flow, that will then surface to you here. Same with our prospects. You'll get to see, if we click on prospects, how many prospects are in the system right now across all of your agents that have synced in Engage and what they've added into their own Engage accounts. And then that leads to the GCI forecast. So this GCI forecast uses a lot of automagical algorithms in the back end, and what it's looking at is what's in the pipeline. How many transactions do you have that are in active and pending and prospects? And then how long does it take for those transactions to be completed? So right now, on average, it's about 209 days for transactions to be completed by your agents. And then how much time do you have left for the end of the year? So right now it looks like we might make 1.7 million as the annual GCI for this office. That is the projected forecast based on the information that's been added into Engage. So you can see where this is a really, really valuable piece of detail. And this will look at not only what is only calendar year, but as you'll notice, there are 22 transactions for buyer, 34 for seller. All of these transactions may have been entered into the system at the middle of last year, but they're still in the pipeline. They're still in the flow. So while closed transactions are only looking at calendar year, active and pending is looking at what is currently active and pending and prospect right now in your sales flow for your office today. I really like this GCI forecast section because, and it will update and adjust as people close and as people move people through their sales, as agents move people through their sales flow, and as they enter in additional information and insight. And then you'll be able to see a better reflection of what the forecast can be for your office.
Absolutely. So, just to reiterate with the closed transaction side, so if your agent has at least gone in to sync their account and their MLS ID is associated with their account, our system will recognize that and will bring that over to your view. Now, if they haven't done that, our system doesn't know what to do, and therefore we won't be able to actually pull it over. So, they don't necessarily need to close it within MoxiEngage, they need to at least sync their account.
That's correct, yes.
All right, and then really quickly, what exactly does an agent need to do in order to sync their Engage account so that their info flows into the manager dashboard? So what's gonna, oh, go ahead, Dawn.
Oh, you can hear me going, "Oh, I can answer that one." So really all they have to do is log into MoxieWorks and click on Engage, and then it will start walking you through the different steps. So you'll be presented with what's next. You need to set a goal, and then if you have a website, connect that website to your Engage. That can happen later, but that's one of the first three screens that show up, and then some information about what Engage is. And then once you hit OK, it'll go to, do you want to take a tour? Do you want to watch the video? And land you on your agent dashboard page. And at that point, your agent has synced their account with Engage, and they will show up on your manager dashboard. So it is very, very simple to get started, very easy to simply sync up that initial piece of information. And then you will also start seeing all of the closed transaction information for that specific agent, whether or not they do anything else. Of course, if they do more, then you'll get more and better information for the GCI forecast section and be able to coach them where they might need it. But that is the minimum that they need to do for you to see their information on your dashboard.
Ooh, I love this. Great way for managers to engage brand new agents right away. Absolutely.
Oh, I love that. Yes. So that was the entire review of the manager dashboard. I do want to make sure that we get to all questions. So Katie, do we want to just kind of start chipping away at all the questions that are coming in?
Absolutely. So if you guys do have questions, please add them to the chat box, and we'll start working through those as we go. So one of the questions that we have is, how does this work with teams of two or more? Do they have to share an account, or do they have their own accounts?
That's a very great question. Katie, do you want to give some insight into that?
Absolutely. So currently, what we have is everybody in the system has their own account. And what we do is we pull in the primary lister. And so whoever is the primary lister on this specific transaction will go into their account automatically, and then they can just connect it with a contact. And if they are a secondary agent on that one, they're the co-lister, then they would actually do what's called like a non-MLS transaction, and they would manually add that to their account. Now, there could be ways, and Carrie, you can chime in if you'd like to. There could be ways where we create one account for maybe a team. There's, a couple different varieties there, but ultimately what we're doing is we're having single accounts. The primary lister will get that automatically coming through. The co-lister will need to manually put that information in.
Yeah, we'll take team requests as they come in. Each team operates a little bit differently, so we'll work with teams as they're requesting to set it up exactly how they want it for their business.
Perfect. And then Carrie, this one is probably a great question for you as well. Will ASCs have manager access?
The ASCs have office admin access and the managers have office manager access. If there's a manager that would like their ASC to be able to view some of these things, then we can chat and get them the access that would help the manager best.
Absolutely. And we can take that one offline as well on a case by case basis where we could even do some account access to help with that as well. All right. Am I correct in thinking that Moxie does not get information from MLS, only info that the agent enters with in regards to their sales activity?
That's another great question. So we do receive all information about active, pending, and sold listings from the MLS. What we're actually displaying on the dashboard, and it might be helpful for me to jump over to the agent dashboard to see what's going on here. The sales flow itself, we want to know how the agent is working with their people. So while we have the information that you have an active listing, and we'll most likely surface a congratulatory pop-up that says, you have a new listing, congratulations. Do you want to send a listing announcement? Do you want to promote that listing? We have that functionality within Engage. What we're looking at for the sales flow specifically is, when did the agent start working with their person in certain capacities? So the active section here is really, when is the agent starting to stage the property? When are they contacting the photographer? When are they getting an agreement to be the listing agent? When are they creating their listing packets, those different types of tasks that occur when you're actively working with someone. Maybe you're creating a buyer tour and then going and searching for homes with your person. That is actively working with your customer, but not necessarily being an active listing. So the terminology is going to be separated from the MLS, whether it's an active or pending listing versus you are actively working with your person. And then the pending zone is, you have that mutually agreed upon buyer-seller contract and you're in the process of end of transaction tasks. So closings and making sure that you put together your 30-day check-in or your 6-month check-in or your annual check-in, and putting those things on your calendar. So all of that is disassociated from the status of the listing. So we have that information, but we're not surfacing it here in Engage. We only surface it once that transaction has actually closed on the MLS side, and then we'll put it into the goals section for you. If you want it connected to a person, so I'll show you in the goal section for me individually. If I want it connected directly to a contact, you'll see I have no contact sitting in my details section, but I have 2 listings that closed automatically on the MLS. I can then create this transaction in MoxiEngage and associate that MLS number to that transaction and close it out. And then my name will be sitting right here, or my customer name will be sitting right here. And then that shows me some additional information about how long it took me to do that transaction, how long it took me to move that person from somebody I marketed to or a prospect all the way through. which would again give me insight into my own forecast and provide insight into the manager side for the forecast for the office. But what we're surfacing in Engage is strictly the closed transactions that come over from the MLS. So a really long-winded explanation of that question. We do get the information, but we're only showcasing closed on the Engage side because we want to know how the agent works.
Yeah, and even when it comes to the close side, we're not automatically going to associate them with a contact because we all know that what's in the MLS may be different than what's in our database. So maybe it closed in the MLS with the name Robert, but in your database you have them as Bob because that's just how you guys talk. So we don't want to assume and associate the wrong way. So that's why there is just a slight manual process, but for the agent, but at least gives them that initiative to allow them to associate it correctly versus us assume. All right, so we have a question outside of the dashboard, but I think it's a great one. Are agents able to make flyers, etc.? And that is an absolute yes. We do have that, and we will go through it with the agent webinars that are coming up. So there's a few ways that they can do it, but yeah, they'll have access to Engage, of course, which is their CRM. They'll have access to Moxie Present, which is their CMA and presentation tool. We have what's called Listing Manager, where they'll be able to go through and see any of their active or pending listings, and they'll be able to create a flyer directly from there, as well as what we call Promote, and that's our advertising tool within the system where agents can promote their services as well as their listings. So there's a lot of amazing things, and Dawn had mentioned this earlier, the power and the tools. So you guys have what we call our full suite. You have websites, the CRM, the presentation tool, the advertising tool, you have it all, which is really great, and everything talks really fabulous together. And we're also working on different SSOs into different vendors, so that single sign-on, to really create MoxiWorks as that one-stop shop for agents. All right, we have a question, which I believe is for you, Miss Carrie. When will the invite go out to the agents for the training this coming Wednesday?
2 weeks ago on Blue Matter Monday, and it's going out again on Monday via Blue Matter Monday. It's on all the education calendars in each region as well. So you can point them towards Schmidt Resources to their region and then their education calendar. The links can be found there as well.
Great, thank you. Go ahead and put those last minute questions in. I want to make sure that we hit everything. Of course, if we don't and you get outside of the webinar and you start playing around with it and you have questions, there's a couple different resources for you. One of those being that bottom left or right hand corner, that help button there. And so what we do have a live support team from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where you can actually talk with a live support agent. They'll walk through any questions you may have. They have the ability to do screen shares. They can even take over control of your mouse if you should need help. It's a huge resource. And then that pink button in the bottom right hand corner is huge, so you can just put in 1-2 words. Maybe it was manager dashboard, you just want some extra information there, and then we'll go ahead and surface some tools for you to actually look through through our help center. We do also have recorded webinars each week, and Dawn, correct me if I'm wrong, it's still going to be at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time every Thursday. And the idea behind that is that we're going to deep dive into specific areas within the program. So we will send out all these different resources to make sure that it's available, but I highly recommend that you or your agents go there and take a look at some of those resources within our help center.
And I just would like to add to that too. We're not just stopping at the first webinar. We have a full team with JD and Judy and Jessica and Elizabeth and Lori and Peter, a full training team that will be providing hands-on training for the agents. Along with the Moxie's weekly webinars, we're going to do Moxie Mondays, where our team will be going over just real quick 15-20 minute tips and tricks for the agents to get them fully up and running. And keep in mind, the information that they just covered is just like 1/10 of what Moxie is offering. It's just one product that they have. So they'll be rolling these out as we go, as we get the information out to the agents, and then we'll be fully training the ASCs and RSCs. So this is all hands on deck. And as you can imagine, it's going to be a long process to get everybody up and running and in these tools. But you guys can have, you have access now. So anybody on that's been on one of the training calls can log in and start playing around with these products so that they can really get dialed into what's being offered.
Absolutely. We did have a question, Carrie, as far as manager access and the login to set up. Has that been sent out? I would assume so, and we can definitely make sure to send that out again if we need to.
It did go out to the ASCs. I apologize. I'm not sure if it went out to the agents. I'm sorry, the managers. But as a manager, if you just go to my.schmidtresources.com and use your Schmidt provided email address, whether that's CB Great Lakes, CB Schmidt Ohio, or CB Florida Homes, you can just click forgot password. It's the fastest password reset email I've ever used. So it'll immediately email you a password reset and you'll be able to get in. So again, that's my.schmidtresources.com. And I will get an email out with that information as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Carrie. All right, looks like we got through all of the questions. Again, really utilize the help center there. And then, of course, our team and the Schmidt team are working really hard to create some future training so that you all feel confident in what's happening. But the biggest thing is really being the voice for the product and really helping engage agents, show them what they can do today to help their business that much more, even if it's just setting their goal and maybe subscribing their people to neighborhood news. They're that much further into helping their business be more productive. You, as well as agents, you don't have to be the master of the whole system. Find 1, 2, 3 things that you absolutely love and start mastering those, and then continue to layer on it. It's definitely a marathon, not a sprint. So, know that you've got a lot of support around you between the Moxie family and the Schmidt family, and we're always happy to help. So please reach out. Thank you all so much for your time. We're so excited to get you in there. We're going to have agent training next week doing Moxie Present, and then the following week will be Engage in websites, and then we'll continue to train after that. You all have a great rest of your Thursday, and we look forward to seeing you all soon.
Great. Thanks, everyone.